More. Now you
Okay.
are.
All right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so, just talking about the things you learned during the process and the things that you had to call upon um, in order to make it through the process. That was actually very insightful. So thank you for your transparency and thank you for being here with us.
Thank you,
Um,
Doc. We've got about 7, 8 minutes here, and we'd love to get everything that you have to say, just letting you know about our time frame here.
okay.
Okay.
So let's talk about military sexual trauma. In
Yes.
the um, 2021, the rates for military sexual trauma, um, it was 8.4 for active duty women and 1.2 for active duty men. And this was the
Yes.
stats for 2021. And that is a huge, separation or a huge
Mm-hmm.
gap in
Yes.
numbers. And so women are more likely to experience those things. We live in a patriarchal society, but the way how the armed forces is set up, it's really a closed system. And so because it is a closed system, who are you reporting to? Um, are they willing to do anything for you dependent on who you are? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And because it is a closed system and matters are handled internally, can you go outside of the base or outside of the armed forces to get
Mm.
the assistance that you need in order to
Mm-hmm.
report this crime?
Right.
Right.
And when we talk about crime for a minute, let's focus on what the crime basically is that women are raped. That's the bottom line. Women are violence is a key factor, and the harassment that goes on either during or after the rape takes place. The factor that our commanding officers sometimes are not open to understanding. So I just wanted to elaborate a
Yeah,
little bit on
and you
that.
know what?
Mhm.
It's not just, sometimes we say, okay, the rape, sometimes a lot of times it's not just that. And I need us to broaden our idea of MST because a person may not have been physically assaulted,
Right.
but they may have been just sexually harassed
Hmm. Right.
continually,
Good point.
and yeah. And so we also have to think about it from that lens as well,
Hmm.
because then that affects a person's self esteem, their self
Yes.
perception, and so forth. And so it's definitely important that we broaden how we see this idea of MST. We
Hmm.
also have to consider that as the woman endure that, if this person have a spouse or if this person have children,
Hmm.
those family members are also impacted by the
Wow.
experiences of that woman service members. And so we really have to broaden our idea of how we think about MST and the
Hmm.
implications, not just for the individual, but also for their families.
One of the things that I love about in the broaden our horizon is broaden our understanding is definitely a key point here, and that's what I spoke about earlier. As a matter of fact, broadening our horizons about what mental health really is and what disability really is, and understanding the unequal access that women have to advocacy, which is what our student Miss Taylor brought out here. But I love the way that you mentioned the statistics for men. And the reason why I think that that's important is that we're not we're not in any way saying that MST that affects men, because men are raped also. Some men are raped and some men are harassed sexually in our society, and especially in the military. And you mentioned that figure, and so that's important. Our focus today is on women because the numbers are much higher, but that doesn't mean that they're not important. And so
Yes.
we recognize, and our heart goes out to the pain that men and women both suffer for this. Another point that you brought out that was really important was the impact on family. I thought that was really, really important because we don't think about how it impacts the whole entire system, okay, in your life. It's and your friendships, you know.
Yes. Absolutely. And I feel like, because we have to understand that once a person is serving, the entire family is serving. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Wow.
Because the family have to be the one moving around with this person. The
Mm-hmm.
family have to deal with the person's absence. The
Right.
family have to deal with who this person become
Mm-hmm.
during their time as a service member. The
That's right.
military spend a lot of money militarizing us, is the term we use. They spend a lot of money doing that. And
Mm-hmm.
this doesn't happen in isolation or happens in a vacuum. And so our families are certainly impacted by that, right?
Wow.
Um,
Wow.
we had a we had a and I don't know if I had shared this with you before. I had a lady that I had worked with, and she was a higher ranking lady when
Mm-hmm.
she served. And one of the outcome for her MST, when she ETS, it was so much harassment for her. And when they would have to go to checkpoints, she would be groped, and it was a lot.
Oh,
Okay.
wow.
And so when she returned and she ETS'd and everything, one of the things that her husband couldn't even touch her. And
Mm-hmm.
even for her children to hug her, she wasn't receptive to that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right.
And so the family have to ask permission to touch her.
Mm-hmm.
They eventually moved past it, but there was a lot of work as a household that went into moving past what this is. So
Mm.
that was one aspect. Another
Yes.
aspect of it was the impulsive spending that she
The
had.
what?
It's
Say that again.
impulsive
Oh,
spending.
yes. Go ahead.
And I didn't realize that, you know, that is also one of the outcome of some
Sure.
mental health, disorders. And
Absolutely.
she had the impulsive spending, and so she had this credit card, and her husband, I mean, they're a household. And when he was going over the bills, he asked her, well, why is this credit card bill so high? I don't see anything. It says you've purchased these things. Where are they, honey? And she was like, I did go and purchase them, but I left them at the park.
Huh.
They
Wow.
were
Wow.
literally on a park bench just sitting there.
Yes. Yes.
And, so he had to go through and become her fiduciary for a while,
Mm-hmm.
um, because the impulsive spending was it was out of control.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, there's a broader picture that we have to look at why MST really has to be addressed. Because
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, yes, this woman is experiencing all of this. But if she
Yes.
is married, it's a challenge for that spouse as well as those children. And so we have to talk about MST completely. We have to talk about it honestly. And we have to talk about it without the stigma that goes along with MST, right?
Absolutely. Without
Um,
the stigma.
yeah, without the stigma. And
Mm-hmm.
so that the shame is transferred somewhere else,
Ah, yes.
right?
And there's a lot of shame and embarrassment that, I mean, as you and I discuss a lot, women, and then women veterans, I mean, we're still women first. We
Right.
still have all of the things that women deal with. But on top of that, we have to deal with MST. And even just knowing that a fellow soldier went through military sexual trauma, the and the potential for suicide, is very, very great. As a matter of fact, I have this on my PowerPoint here. The report by Disabled American Veterans just recently talked about the increase of the use of weapons that women are using now to die by suicide, and instead of the traditional methods of suicide, which were usually sleeping pills or something that they've eaten or whatever. And so there's just been an increase in MST reporting that has been going on, and we appreciate that. We want more women to come forward. And I have a short video that I'd like to play, and then I'd like to come back to you, if you don't mind, and with any questions or comments that may come from the audience. But this is from Make the Connection, and because we are very, very supportive of VA. And can you see the video?
No, it hasn't come on yet.
It will come on in just a moment. Takes a little time for it to come on. But I've been so overwhelmed with the research that has come out from this, and very grateful for the research, because we didn't have research like this long time ago. So it's really something that I can even sit here and talk about it. I remember teaching about military sexual trauma when we first saw it. Okay.
Yes, and
Can you see this?
that's what I like. Yeah, that's what I like about what is happening now is increased research in veteran studies and different dimensions of veterans' lives. So veterans, women veterans, our work habits, our family, our relationships, disabilities, how that impact the person's life, successes, how a person move from trauma to triumph. And there's a lot of
Yes.
work that is going on. It's very exciting to see.
Very exciting. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to start that video with you speaking like that. Thank you so much for what you said just now.
Yeah, it's not on yet. We can't see it on our end yet,
Okay.
Dr. Apple.
Can you see it now? Can you see it now?
No, ma'am.
You can't see the video?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Let me try again, please. Well, anyway, I can't see. If I can get it open before.
Do you want to send it to me?
How about now? Can you see it now?
No,
We're
ma'am.
trying to get it, we're trying to get it moving here so you can see the video.
No video, doctor.
Okay, one moment. She's working on it now. And there it is right there. Mhm. There we go. Press play. How's that? Are we able to see the video now?
Yes, we
We
can
see it, but we're not. Is it sound? We have no sound.
Unless you hit share sound, we're not going to hear it.
Did you hit share sound, Dr. Apple?
We're trying now.
Okay.
Or why I said it.
How about
I just
now?
got it out. And she let
Perfect.
Here we go. Sorry about those technical difficulties.
Even though that we served as well as men and we want to be looked at equally and the same, we are different. We have different challenges physically and mentally. There's just something different about the level of care that we need. And when I go into the women's clinic, I'm there because I'm a woman veteran and they treat me as such. So to walk in somewhere where you feel comfortable with other people who have similar experiences just because they are women, it takes a lot of that anxiety and anxiousness away.
So I ended up getting another female doctor, and it took a little while, but I finally opened up to her, and somebody could hear me for once, and I could just let go. And I went in there and I just screamed and yelled and cried, and I didn't even know what half of what I said was or why I said it. I just got it out, and she let me cry. This was a release, and there was no judgment, and she wasn't trying to fix me. She was just listening to me.
The group was a support group, and it was really cool because we all felt empowered because there's other women like us that had experienced the same thing. There's other people involved, and instead of just having a one-on-one with the therapist, usually when you're having a one-on-one with a therapist, you're getting a professional person's input on how to do things. In group, you have other people that may think a little bit different than you and give you some advice, but it's also somebody who's been through what you've been through, so it comes from a different point of view. And it's like safety in numbers, so to speak, and we're developing relationships, that we haven't had before, of other people that you can identify with.
You have to be more responsible for your own care, and then try again.
With therapy, I was able to not only find my true self, but also find my true happiness. Now I'm a good mom, and I'm a good wife, and I'm a good friend.
So I hope that kind of like sums up a lot of the things that we've been talking about today, especially as far as the impact for the family. I'm so glad that Dr. Jane brought that out. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we could hear you.
Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Oh, great,
Yes.
great. Any comments? I have one comment. Great job here, and that we're doing a great job. But we want to move on here and let you know that women veterans are still going strong. Women veterans there's a lot of different organizations that we have now that are out there, and those organizations like Military Women Across the Nation, Women Army Corps Veteran Association, WACBA. We also give special thanks to Disabled American Veterans and Paralyzed Veterans of America. Paralyzed Veterans of America will be with us very, very shortly. As a matter of fact, in another video podcast. And so you'll be able to hear what their outreach has been to underserved women veterans. So stay tuned to the Differently Abled Network. And you can always reach us at 888-562-7753. That is 888-56-APPLE. And call or text us. You can also send us an email at info@whiteappleinstitute.org. And if you look at the description on the video, it'll have all that information on there. Before we leave, we always like to close out our program with the differently abled artists and musicians. And even though we started a few minutes late today, we don't want to ignore the important fact of some of the women veterans or women that come on and want to explain how they are overcoming their depression and anxiety using music and art as a way of exercising and adjusting, as Ms. Taylor had brought out earlier, the adjustment phase. Are we ready, Lori? Lori Elwood is one of our co-producers, co-hosts. We thank her so much for the work that she's doing to help us. Thank you, Lori.
We don't actually have our musician, but I'll be the musician to speak about it a little bit. Nellie was going to join us. She has a beautiful voice and she's done some wonderful things with music in her life. But I too have dealt with fairly severe mental illness and physical illness, and music has been a life changer for me, as well as theater and art and writing. And none of those things require that you be a big talent or that you be a published author or that you be on Broadway. All it requires is that sometimes you listen to music or you sing or you hear the music in your head. or you're frustrated and you write. Maybe you write a poem. Maybe you just write in a journal. It's expressing that using a creative way to express the frustration in a way that can make it where you can create a different experience and you can lighten the load a little bit. And it seems
That's for
like
sure.
such a small thing when you're dealing with such big things in your life, but it's amazing what the little small things can do. That difference of just shifting your mindset, not just of shifting your mindset for a period of time, turning on the radio,
Hmm.
asking Alexa, play me some classical music. I mean, whatever. She's about to start doing
Yes.
that now. And
The station,
It's
Ultimate Classical. on
Alexa.
Amazon Music.
We've got Alexa going and Alexa telling me some things too.
Yes.
Don't know how to shut that off.
So I'm now going to have classical music in the back behind me. Got a little Mozart going on back there. And I don't know, for me, there's lots of big things you can do in life to help you deal with various challenges, and absolutely counseling and medication. And even if you have to be hospitalized when it's legitimate that you need to be
When
hospitalized.
it's legitimate, yes.
Right. And, going to school and your job, it could so many things. This is just a tiny Alexa, stop. This is
Okay.
just a tiny thing that you can do in your everyday life. When you're cleaning a toilet, you can be humming a song in your head or visualizing a picture. It's just a
Yes.
little thing, but it can make a huge difference. And it certainly has for me.
Well, you've been going through a lot lately, Lori, with just packing and moving from Arizona to Michigan. Is that right? Did I get that right?
Minnesota.
Minnesota. I know it wasn't him. Okay. But I know
Now
that you're
connected to
doing a
Bluetooth.
lot with music and with healing during this stressful period. And that's what we're talking about, is that when the stress starts at the very, very beginning, my friends, that's when you start looking at how can music help me? How can something I can do with art help me? And just stop everything else that you're doing. Sometimes it's good to just stop, period, and not do anything at all, but just go into a mindfulness set and just thank our creator for who we are and what we're able to do. And I'm so thankful for the people today that have been here today and able to help out with putting this podcast together, because this is totally by volunteers. We work totally by donations, and your donation is so important to us. Your donation will not only keep the operation going, but your donations are used for our Place Your Bets on Women Vets program, which Dr. Jane and I are implementing very, very shortly, where women veterans will be able to call and get the emergency assistance that they need, or urgent assistance, I should say, urgent assistance, when something happens and their car breaks down, or they have a loss of equipment, or childcare costs, or prescription copays that they can't get paid for. And they need these things in order to continue in school and at work. And so let's make sure that we go into our wallet and into our credit card wallet, or whatever that's called, and make a donation of whatever amount that you can to help us out with that project. We truly appreciate that. Okay, now I want to bring on Nellie Anderson. Nellie, where are you, Nellie? So that I can get a good picture of you. Do I have you there? Do I have Nellie Anderson here?
No, ma'am.
Do I have Nellie Anderson? Nellie, are you ready? Nellie is very special. She's from Peru, and she's a vocalist from Peru. She's been singing all of her life, and one of the things that brought my attention to Nellie is that she has a daughter. She was explaining her own learning disabilities as growing up with it as a child, and then she has a child who is autistic, and that child is soothed by her beautiful voice. And that's what brought my attention to Nellie and inviting her to share. Nellie, are you there now?
Danita, she didn't make it.
Okay, she didn't make it. Okay,
No.
that's okay. We have Steel in Our Spine, close our show off with a program with. Actually, we're going to close right now with our program, if that's okay. We're running out of time anyway. And we thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you, Lori. Lori, you have anything else that you wanted to say?
Nope. I think Stealing Your Spine will say it all. This is
Okay,
by Daniel Nahmad, a wonderful
tell us a little bit about it.
singer-songwriter. Daniel is a singer-songwriter. He writes songs that you just would think he's been through every experience in the universe because they just touch so many areas. And he wrote this one about 3 years ago, and I was around when he first performed it. And the first time I heard it, I just melted into tears.
Well,
So
you thought it was meant for you.
I
It was meant
did.
for you, and
I
I
did.
feel it was meant for me too. I mean, because I literally have steel in my spine, which is really, really interesting. So I really love this that you brought this song to us. Thank you. Please play it for us.
I can't play it for you because I'm not
Okay,
a co-host
that's
on the
all right.
show. So
You can find it on YouTube and on our
you
last
can find it on
podcast.
YouTube. You can, yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
Stealing
you
Your
so much,
Spine,
everyone.
Daniel Nahmad.
Okay. Anything more you wanted to say, Miss Taylor?
No, thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate everybody's time, and thank you, Dr. Jane, and thank you, Lori, and thank you, Dr. Apple.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you for coming on and sharing and being so open. Okay. And I can't forget to go back to Dr. Jane for a minute and see if there's anything she'd like to say in closing.
No, I just want to thank everybody for coming on and doing their part, because this is important work. And for the people that we serve, they look
Yes.
forward to it. Lori is here, and then we have our guest, Morgan. And so just thanks everybody. Thank you, Dr. Apple, for, hanging on to this work for all these years.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, we certainly hope that people follow up on YouTube and that you share this YouTube link with friends and family so that they can see the work that we're doing, and hopefully it will save a life. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you
Bye-bye.
everyone for leading a powerful discussion today.
Oh, yes. Veterans Day coming up. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Apple.
Thank you.